Cloud.
Go for it, farm boy.
Hey, Cadillac. Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Friday, December 28th. It is our 6:30 a.m. Get out of your effing way call. And effing could be anything you choose it to be. Fun, fear, freakiness, whatever. Or the word we all think that it should be. Hey, what I wanted to share this morning was when I woke up into my meditation, and that's one of the things I do my best now right away is to wake up and go into meditation. What's awakening, right? What is the source? Because one of the things that I've learned over the years is that when we go to sleep at night, if we're not telling our mind to work on something, if we're not telling ourselves to do what we want it to work on when we sleep, whether it's 4 or 5 hours or whether it's 10 hours, the brain will work on anything. And there's little, I don't want to call them demons. How about gremlins that run around in our mind? And these gremlins have a tendency, let's just say they have a tendency to do less for us than more for us. And so I wanted to share this morning that when I woke up this morning, something just jumped out at me. And it's the craziest thing because I'm pretty prepared for life with my years of experience and how long I've been practicing. But this morning, worry got me. And I got to tell you, it was fun. So here's what by show of hands, has anybody ever worried before? Okay, just checking, because otherwise, if we hadn't, I'd have.
What are you talking about?
So here's what came to me this morning, and so it was kind of funny. I love acronyms, right? When we take a word and we share it, and can you all see that screen?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And I like acronyms to turn them into ways for us to understand them, because we use these sounds called words, and words have vibration, right? We've all read the thing, the pen is mightier than the sword. And this is when it came up. Worry to me showed up this morning when our resources reveal yourself. And I thought, holy crap, what the hell does that mean? And because worry isn't something we choose, yet it is. Worry isn't something we want, yet we do it all the time. Worry isn't something that solves anything, but why do we do it then? And what came up to me was when our resources reveal yourself. See, if we've ever had a conversation where we said, I wish I could just stop my thoughts, that proves we're not ourselves. If you said, man, this monkey mind, I just can't, I wish I can't go to sleep. And what's happening is that for every breakdown, for every breakthrough, there's a breakdown, right? In order to get through a wall, we've got to break it down, or we can go around it, but then there's the fear of leaving the wall, all of this stuff. So here's what I came up with this morning. What are the ideas that freak you out when you are safe in bed? That was me this morning. I woke up, the puppies were there, Jameson was there, Michelle was there, Beamish was there, and Beamish decides whether he wants to be under the covers or on top of the covers. But I woke up and so when I stir, they stir, right? Because I'm their buddy, they're my buddy, and they're like, oh, are we getting up to eat? Are we getting up to eat? And I'm like, hey, come on, hi, how are you? And they do their little stretch and they push on you if their legs are towards you. And so it was like the perfect morning. And then all of a sudden, somebody threw this big freaking bucket of shit, and this just dread started to show up. And I'm like, so I do my best to step out as the observer and go, who is this? What is this? Because you can definitely, some of us are pretty good. Both of my hands are up. Some of us are pretty good at eating shit, eating stuff and just, oh my God, what is that? Oh my God, what if that happens? And I woke up in this amazing state of joy, and in 30 seconds, got the crap kicked out of me. And then, because I started to go into that, right? Lynn Grabhorn, we've talked about this. Bob mentioned it to Kayla the other day. What resources are not available? Maybe that's where it came from. I'm just putting this together now, Bob. So thanks for, I know this will sound funny. Thanks for being in bed with me this morning. But where's the resources coming from? What resources am I not using? Bob shared that amazing idea concept, and Kayla shared some thoughts she had on it yesterday after that had happened. So how much time, think about this, how much time do you spend in the past or future not going to ask if the moments are positive or negative? See, my worry this morning that showed up was something maybe I should have done last Sunday and something I need to do before this Sunday. And then worry was as well, if I didn't do that then, I'm not going to receive something in the future. And all of a sudden I was ping-ponging back and forth and back and forth and forth and back. And it was just, it was tiring. Do any of us get exhausted when we worry? And we've done nothing, right? Who remembers Hogan's Heroes? I see nothing. Schultz, we've done nothing. And what is the return for those trips? Right? So I come out of the business world. I come out of a world where I used to sell products that a traditional product that they sold in my marketplace was about $100, and we sold $3,000 products. And so I always had to do an ROI, because you can't justify a $100 product being replaced by a $3,000 product. You had to do a return on investment. So ROI. And that's what ran through my head. What is my ROI, my return on energy, investment, time, sitting here, missing out on the opportunity to rub my bride's shoulders and to caress her and to play with the puppies and tickle them and make their legs go like that, right? When you find their tickle spot. What was I missing? I was missing all of that because I was sitting in there literally almost paralyzed. So I would ask you that if you've ever had that happen, is there a way for you to step out of this? One of the greatest lines that I was taught is when mentoring somebody is to say, listen, you know exactly where you're at. If you were mentoring you, what would you say to you? And you can just watch the brain go from fight or flight, the amygdala, the hippocampus, the hypothalamus, and moving into the prefrontal cortex, which is when we can think about things, we lose our fight or flight, because the brain looks for two things. Will it kill me? And how fast can I recognize a pattern? And when we ask that question, if I was mentoring me, what would I say? And I literally heard my say-so, get your ass out of bed. And that's what I heard. And so I sat up. I was already awake, so it's not like I had to wake up. I was already awake. I sat up and I went about my morning. Went and made the coffee, came back and gave the puppies kisses, and I was back in state. I was back into the state of me. So if you were sitting down there right now and when you find yourself in a state of confusion, a state of disrepair, a state of what the hell's going to happen next, pull yourself out from that and ask the question, if I were mentoring this person, what would I say to them? Because one of the things that anybody who wants to be coached wants is they want somebody who truly understands them, who understands you better than you. Now, you may have a misguided opinion of yourself sometimes. I know I do. So requirements. This is what came to me. Take it for what it's worth. It's a nugget, right? It's either a nugget or a turd. You'll either pick it up or leave it on the ground. Lack of clear path of action. I was sitting there in my bed, comfy with the puppies and Michelle, and there was nothing moving forward. It was ping-ponging back and forth, right? Anybody ever play pickle in the middle? This just came to me. Nobody wanted to play pickle in the middle with me, or at least they didn't want me to start in the middle, because I was taller than most of my friends in school. So they would have to throw the ball really, really high. And if I hung out at the end where the ball was going, I was usually tall enough to grab it. So pickle in the middle is like, nobody wants to be the pickle in the middle. And that's what you are in a state of worry. Here's the thing. If pickle in the middle is just going to happen on one line, on one plane, all you have to do is take one step outside of that and you're no longer pickle in the middle. Right? Or double dutch. I think maybe once I jumped rope that way where somebody was swinging the rope. But if you have to step in the exact center to make a jump rope work. And then you can't do it forever because you get tired. Well, how many of us have been in this jump rope of life going up and down? And okay, I'm moving now. No, you're not. No, I'm moving now. Oh, I'm exhausted. No, you're not. You're in the same spot. You're wearing a hole in the ground. So decide what the next step is. You don't have to come up with a 17-page report and a master's thesis on what you're going to do next. Get your ass in gear. Comparison and the should-haves. I should have done this. I should have done that. My mother used to say, you keep shoulding all over yourself, you're going to stink. In your mind and the abyss. When you get out of your mind, right? How many of us have ever heard the expression, oh my God, have you lost your mind? Think about this. Think about this. What is our mind? Our mind is only the repository of everything that's ever happened in our life. It's only a storage facility of our past. Well, Sean, when we set goals, we think about the future compared to our past. The mind can only think of, so I have a goal. I want 10,000 people on my email list. That's my goal for 2019, 10,000 people. Not crazy, not ridiculous number. Well, now that I'm thinking about that, do I have 10,000? No. See, this all happens at a subconscious level when you get into your mind. Mind is memory. Mind is here, and it drives the body, and the body is looking for a cellular reaction to happen to, how many of us have ever had a thought and we get a knot in our gut? What? The thought is up here. How did knot get down here? Well, between the stomach and the brain, there's the vagus nerve. And then what we all find out is that the heart actually registers all this stuff before the brain ever had a chance. The Heart Meth Lab out in California has done a study. Maybe you've heard me tell this before. Well, they'll have a blank screen. And then on the screen, they're going to show a picture, whether it be a fun picture or like a scary snake picture. And what they found is that the heart changed the body, registered in the body 2 to 15 seconds before the image showed up, before the image ever showed up. So this thing that we're having in our brain, the thing that we're becoming aware of, is when we lose our heart connection. They talk about it scientifically about heart coherence. And they're finding out that when the heart is out of alignment, the heart is out of alignment. We're out of alignment. Check it out, heart coherence. And then we wind up where? In the abyss. Was that the name of the movie, The Abyss? Right? Where they go down, anyway, so the abyss is the unknown. Well, man, if you know what's gonna happen next, God bless you. Because hell, I have no idea. There's stuff running through my brain right now going, oh, say me, say me, say me. I'm like, no. Literally, they're running through my spotlight. And they're going, no, this would be good. We step into the unknown at every moment. And what happens is through our awareness, through not being in mind. How many of us have ever sat down someplace and asked for something and it was sitting right there on the table? How it wasn't there 2 seconds ago? Did it instantly materialize? Could be, but chances are it wasn't part of our RAS. Good Lord, reactivated. I just went blank. I know it's RAS. A reticular activating system. See that? Didn't want me to say it. The reticular activating system says what you are aware of, you see more of. And when we're in a state of worry, it kind of takes over and those little gremlins start to pile up. It's like somebody threw water on them after midnight or whatever that movie was. And all of a sudden they start to pile up and they start to expand and grow and so how do we get out of all of this stuff? Well, I would ask you to write down your 10 resources that you need when you worry, that you could use, that you've used in the past. What would be 10 resources you would use to get out of worry? One of mine is to go watch funny stuff, to watch a Dean Martin roast, right? If I've Lynn Grabhorn myself and I went down that rabbit hole and I can recognize I'm down the rabbit hole and I've kind of lost my footing, I've lost my traction, right? We talked about it yesterday, distraction. There's no such thing as distraction. There's either traction and you either got it or you lose it, because something is pulling you. You are either pulling or it's pulling you. So if I find myself going down that rabbit hole, I'll go watch a Dean Martin roast. And I usually look for Mr. Warm and Fuzzy, Don Rickles, because I just love his delivery. I love the delivery. So what are your resources? I love to listen to high energy music. I'll listen to particular artists, depending upon the state I'm in. I'll call a friend. So a lot of times if you get a text from me that says, hey, I was thinking about you, it's because I might have been on the precipice, you know what the word I'm saying. See, anybody can do this. I was on the edge, or maybe I was sliding down the hole and I got to get out of this. So I will put myself in a state of love by reaching out to my friends. What's another resource you could use? I'll call Michelle. Usually she's busy, so I'll leave her a voicemail. I'll text Mason a message. I have these triggers that I know I'll go into it. I'll usually do my best to step out as an observer in a state of worry and go, what? Look at this jackass. Now, I say that, well, why are you so mean on yourself? Because it's me looking at me going, how did you get here? You teach this, you train this, you help people do this. No. The only way that you can ever learn and stay a step ahead is to experience things at a greater level so you can have a better understanding of it. So I'd encourage you to write down your 10 things. So what keeps you from, right? Where's the fear? When I recognized it this morning, I was in a state of fear. False evidence appearing real, right? Or face everything and run. And you can come up with all of the acronyms we have for that. But I can tell you, it was debilitating. As instant as it was, and as short as it was debilitating. It was paralyzing. And then part of me was sad that I was in that state. And I'm like, how do I get here? Who lets me here, right? If you don't ask those questions, who let you get there? What part of you stop that? Because it's always there. If it's in your mind, it's already in your mind. It's not like, oh, what is this? What is this new feeling? How does one describe this feeling, dread? I have no idea. No, it's been in our mind. We have a gatekeeper that keeps us from falling into that pit all the time. It's called joy. It's called happiness. It's called loving the world. It's called self-worth. Right? Oh my God, how many times have we ever said this? This just popped up. Oh God, I feel worthless today. What? Then I was excited. I was excited that I was going to get to share this. I know if anybody's ever watched Young Frankenstein, I'm the Abby normal brain. I got excited. And then what happened is after I got excited, I got back to my normal. This is me. This is the state I live in most of the time, more often than not. My daddy said, if you're winning 51% of the time, guess what? You come out on top. I would encourage you to up that number from 51 to maybe 52, maybe to 62, 72, 82. Well, why can't we live in this state of perfect joy all the time? You can. Tell me what size white robe you wear and what cave you're going to be in, and I'll see if I can't get that to you. We deal in a world where there's people. People are fascinating opportunities of growth for us to watch them and to watch the way they participate in the world and to observe them from a state of learning as opposed to a state of criticizing. So what's your desire? What do you have to change today to remove worry? Just remove a little bit of it. I grew up on a farm. Anybody ever have to weed a garden? Anybody remember Jim Rohn's story of the seed? Sometimes we'll have, how many of us have had great ideas that were absolutely shit? Oh my God, you wouldn't, oh really? No, okay. Oh my gosh, oh really? Oh my God, I can't have a good idea. No, you're having ideas, that's a good thing. How much time do you want to spend in your tens? Remember, we've talked about this. If you're new to the call, one of the things we asked in one of the previous morning sessions is to what are your tens? What are the things that zing you, that motivate you, that raise your spirit? And how often do you live in that? That would be my encouragement. So that was me. I'm like, thank God I have a 6:30 a.m. call. That's what I was thinking. I'm going, I get to share this. I get to reveal my own shitness and share with you. This happened to me this morning. I'm not coming here like, excuse me, let me take off my armor and put my sword away. No, I'm the friggin' jester that just came out of the horse stable after mucking it and got some on me. So that's my conversation for you today. I hope that brings value. So let's have a conversation and see what brings it up. I saw that Chad raised his hand. Chad, did you have a question, Chadillac?
No, you talking about weeding. I just raised my hand. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. So now that we shared that, what's zinging in your heart and your soul, maybe in your gut, maybe something that's going, well, I'm not going to talk. Are you kidding? I'm like, I got my PhD in worry. What's got you going? Because that's what happened to me this morning.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, this is Lovelia. What I thought of is that we need to be acknowledging our weakness. And as long as I can acknowledge that I am a human, I'm not a superwoman, I'm not a superman, I can overcome that is worrying me and getting actions to solve whatsoever worries I have. But if I don't acknowledge that I'm also capable of being weak and getting into a point that is going to disturb my own being, I'm not going to get to change or get the help that I need.
Lovelia, one of the things that's great about that is that expression that Kyle Cease said in his trainings, that's where I picked it up from, is when we're in this state of worry, that I forgot to mention that, but I would say, oh my God, I feel this worry, this dread. And the thing that I said that changed my state was, and I love that. When we acknowledge something and we start to love it, that's the only time it can go away. Because if we're trying to get out of worry, you can't get out of worry. So I applaud you for sharing that, right? As a powerful woman, as somebody that's creating this amazing organization that's going to help people, right? I applaud you for that. So it's incredible that, and when we acknowledge it, it's funny how all of a sudden it seems to lose its footing and we get ours.
Yes.
Very cool. Who else? Anyone else? Hey, Danya, how are you? Glad your internet's back working. Yay. So just see if this is running through anybody's head. Well, I'm worried I don't know what to say. I feel uncomfortable because there's silence. Somebody should say something.
I'm just trying to think. My brain's been going through, like, because I haven't been dealing too much recently with worry, but worry has been a constant companion of mine for most of my life. And I've always found that when I'm paralyzed by fear, and I've had those moments far too many times, I've always found that once I kind of shake myself and just do something, get into some sort of action, it starts to lessen the fear, because then I begin to feel more in control when I actually do something, anything, even if it's just, walk into the kitchen and make a pot of coffee. Just start moving, and it gets you busy. When you're physically busy, the worry kind of lessens, and then it opens a little window where I can start seeing some solutions.
Well, and so Emily, here's the science behind that. When we go into a fight or flight situation, and we can be in a fight or flight instantly, we can put ourselves into fight or flight sitting here safely where we're all sitting in our own spaces right now. And the fight or flight literally starts to ramp up the adrenaline system, starts to shut down the prefrontal cortex, because one of the concerns, one of the ways the brain operates, right? There's three parts to the brain. There's the new brain, the prefrontal cortex. There's the fight or flight brain, and then there's the what we call the alligator brain, right? The autonomic nervous system that we don't have to think about. So these three brains operate in concert together. The challenge is that when we get into the fight or flight, we are going to run our ass off, or we are going to fight to the death. And so therefore the brain needs to shut down all the ability to logically delay a response. Did y'all hear that? The brain shuts down a way to logically delay a response. And the way it does that, it shuts down our ability to think. That's why if we've ever been in an argument with somebody and somebody later on goes, "Oh man, I've never seen you like that." And you're like, "What? What are you talking about? The things you said? What'd I say? Oh my God, you don't remember?" No, I don't. Because if, God forbid, the building was on fire, your brain in its survival mode isn't going to go, "Excuse me, are you running to that door or that door? Because I'd hate to disturb you." It's going to go, "Get the F out of my way," and knock. And that's how people get trampled in stampedes. So what you just said about taking action. Now, there's two ways to take action. Habitual action, where we sit in our body and we do habitual things that we've always done, right? Like we get online and we binge watch Netflix, and we wake up, we stop at the end of show 14 and we're like, "Son of a bitch, I should have went to bed 2 hours ago." So action is not always necessarily the key. It's action of thought. Going to make a pot of coffee, right? That's why I encourage you, when you shower in the morning, dry yourself off differently each and every time, because that keeps you out of this habitual, momentary pattern of your day. I had one student, where were they, in Europe somewhere, where they had just had a major breakup. And I said, "Tell me your phone number." He's like, "What?" I said, "Tell me your phone number." And he told me his phone number. I said, "Tell me again." I said, "In the moments that you just told me your phone number, were you pissed off, stressed, aggravated, mad, discouraged?" He goes, "No." I said, "Then say your phone number and ask everybody their phone number for the next 10 hours. He's like, "You're stupid." I go, "You're right. I'm rich. Let's move on." When we get into our state, when we get our brain activated, when we get decision-making process, the brain then says, wait a minute. If you're thinking, right, if you've taken back control, if you've taken back control and you're causing the brain to now process information, what color is this? I just asked your brain to process something. You had to look, you had to focus, you stopped doing what you were doing, you looked. Sean asked a question. He asked a question, so we want to be nice to him. We want to be part of the community, so we'll respond, and you all looked somewhere, and you went, "Well, that's red." Instantly, I took you out of whatever pattern you were in. So when you feel this fight or flight, when you feel this dread, this worry, this "I have no control," ask yourself a question. What time is it? What day is it? What's the temperature outside? Guess what temperature it is outside? What's the air pressure in my tires in my car? What the hell are you doing? I'm taking you out of worry. In that instant, when you start activating the prefrontal cortex, science proves that the amygdala goes, "Oh, if you have enough common sense, if there's enough safety in asking a question, then we don't have to worry. We can shut down all the fire alarms." because the brain is looking for the two things. Will it kill me? And how fast can I recognize the pattern? And what happens is, is that if when we get into these states of worry, that's a recognizable pattern. How many of us would agree with that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, baby. And if it's a recognizable pattern, we go, oh, the shitstorm's about to happen. So I need to prepare for the shitstorm. And you're laying in bed with puppies and your bride. How the hell, how insidious is that? I hope I used that word right. I looked it up yesterday.
Good word.
So what's running through y'all's heads? Feedback, share, concepts, ideas. And thank you, everybody, for being here. You make my ego so wonderful.
I was thinking that when you were talking about the brain being a source of memory, it's also a source of creative thought, about 1 billion thoughts a day. And it might be worthwhile asking yourself when you can't invoke your Alfred E. Newman to say, well, what am I thinking that I really need to challenge? It's like being in a heated discussion with somebody. You could say, acknowledging is great. Thank you for sharing that with me. But at the same time, you're saying, what am I believing? What am I telling myself? Or what am I thinking that is worth challenging? Is that really true, what I'm thinking at the moment?
So Bob, what you're saying is we should be aware of our thoughts? Of course.
Yeah.
And I ask my students on an hourly basis, send me a Y or an N, a yes or a no, just a Y or an N. I don't even want you to write the whole word out. Be aware of the last hour. Well, yeah, but you mean I got to spend all that time thinking about what happened in the last hour? 5 seconds, just take a body exam. What state are you in? Are you happier than you were the previous hour? Or are you more pissed off? And then make an adjustment. So Bob, you're absolutely right. I would love for you to send me an email on that or post that in Facebook, that gentleman's name, so that we can all consume some great knowledge. But that's so powerful. In this state, what benefit am I getting from this right now? What is this doing for me? And again, activating the prefrontal cortex. And in that question, the brain goes, the rest of the brain, the fight or flight stuff goes, oh, okay, we can go to code DEVCON 2 as opposed to DEVCON 4. That's a great comment, Bob. What else is showing up, folks? I can't think of anything to say.
Hello.
Hello, Kayla.
I've been 5 minutes worried if I should touch the microphone or not. Son, now you got me worried about something. I'm thinking, what about those times that you hear said, the problem is that you don't worry at all. Like, I wonder now that I hear you saying those things, like what happened with the people when it looks like nothing worried them? Or if it's true that when somebody have a problem and they just say, I'm not even going to worry about it, is it true that that's not good either? I mean, now like just putting everything to the side and not even, because you just said something, action of thought, right? And then it got me thinking, what if there are people, and I've been like that sometimes too, because yes, things happen and I just say, I'm not even gonna think about it. What about that? I mean, is that correct? Not even think, just block everything and just keep going?
Well, so here's the thing. When people say I'm not going to worry about it, here's what came to my head. I'm not going to think about it. And if they don't think about it, they go back into their old pattern, meaning they don't have what Bob said to you the other day and what the acronym I came up, when our resources reveal yourself. And so when we say I'm not going to worry about it, it means I have no resources to resolve that issue. Yeah. So I'll ask you. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Sean, isn't it possible when you tell yourself, okay, I'm not going to worry about that, you actually, maybe you're not consciously aware of the thoughts going through your head on that issue, but in the background, in your subconscious, you're working it out. Because doesn't it sometimes happen when you said to yourself, well, I'm just not going to think about that right now. And then all of a sudden later on, a solution pops into your brain about that very thing. And so whether you're aware of it or not, you've been working on it.
Right. So that's the thing. Bob said, you know, we have 70, 80,000 thoughts a day, 14,000 words a minute can run through our head at a subconscious level, right? So if any of you have shifted in your chair, you knew that your chair wasn't going to fall over. But you knew that because it had to run a pattern in your head, and it ran that pattern between me talking or you listening. It even still said, okay, well, I can shift in my chair and the chair isn't going to fall over because I have this history. Oh, well, it doesn't do all of that. You're right, I'm rich, let's move on. It does do all of that. So when we say I'm not going to worry about that right now, I'm not going to give it time right now, because worry is time. It's a time suck. And it means that we have no ability, no resources to deal with it. So when we say I'm not going to worry about it, it's like, I'm not going to worry about that now, I'll take care of that later. It's not a priority. We prioritize the conversation and the dialogue in our head and the results. Because here's the thing. If 20 minutes ago, I heard Mason get up and he fell down the steps, I say that in the past because I'm not a prophet, but nothing, I can't change 20 minutes ago. If he got up and down the steps now and fell and all of a sudden was injured and had to take him to the hospital, I wasn't sitting here 25 minutes ago, 5 minutes before that incident going, I worry about what if something happens to Mason. I didn't take myself out of my current state. So yes, when we say I'm not going to worry about that now, we probably have the situations, we have the deal. A lot of times we use words to make others feel comfortable. A lot of times we have a pattern of language of those around us, right? If we change our state in life, we're a reflection of the 5 people we hang around with most. And when we change our state, whether we increase our income, we increase our intellect, we increase our desire to love society, we increase our pissed offness, we will find more people who are pissed off if we want to be pissed off. How many of us believe that? We'll also find people who are a lot more energetic if we want to find that. So this state of mind, when we say I'm not going to worry about that, it's like, that's a nice way of saying you're an idiot. That doesn't even show up on my radar. Or that's not a priority to me. I don't have to give my time away, my life away to even be concerned with that at this moment. I will deal with that situation in the future. But we use this nice word that allows the person we're talking to understand us. How many of us talk different to babies who are 2 years old than we do to adults? Most of us. I talk the same way to most people. But when we talk to babies, what do? Oh, look at the little baby. Even the grumpiest old man changes his tune. So when we say you don't worry about anything, I would ask everybody on this call, how many of you see me as a worrier? It's probably not a lot, but I can tell you there are times that I worry about things, but it's only worry to create the plan. When our resources reveal yourself, and in my state of worry this morning, I wasn't using my resources. So if you don't worry, you take a lot of action, you're busy, you're producing results, you don't have to worry. Okay. Worry is when we don't know, when we don't have a resource necessary, like Bob said. What is the lesson I can learn from having this dialogue in my own head? Great question, Kayla. So again, there's a little pattern I'm seeing, my love, is that there's only these laws of extreme, right? I never hate anybody. Well, I never get mad at anybody. There's this pendulum, right? And then people tell me, you don't worry. Well, you don't have to worry. You can be concerned about situations and then you take action.
Okay. Thank
That
you.
help?
Yes, a lot. Thank you.
Okay. It's because, see, I was worrying about you.
Okay.
And my worry is that I wanted to, and that's what most mentors and coaches do. Sometimes if they worry about their students, they worry about making sure they get the proper resources. And the only resource, the greatest resource we all have is that 3-pound little gelatin thing up here. And even that is only a repository. All of these memories we have, our brain would have to be the size of a house to remember everything that's happened in our life. What? So somewhere there is a Dropbox, a universal storage facility that we can pull things from the ether and memories from the ether that is like, okay, and I can play that. It's kind of like having, I don't have one out here, a hard drive. And we have everything stored on this hard drive. Unless we plug it in, we don't know there's any information on it. And sometimes we plug in our worry hard drive and that thing's filled with just, ugh. And so when we unplug it and we plug in our happy hard drive, we can deal with the worry, the residue of the worry that was there. What else? What's showing up? Anybody having any little heart palpitations? Just say, and I love that. What's your body telling you right now? What do you
Morning,
hear?
Doc.
Go ahead.
Yeah, my kids would always tell me that I'm a constant worrier. So, yeah, I would worry about the tiniest thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I noticed, like, lately, I haven't been concentrating as much on it, but I do, like, I know in my subconscious that there is worry there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure, like what you said about the guy about the phone number, saying it back to take your mind off of it.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuck out with me. I'm going, yeah, that would kind of work.
Yeah, so here's the thing, Karen. You still worry because it's when you're not in your state of joy. It's not when in your state of conversation. It's not when you're in your state of awareness.
Uh-huh.
Right? And so when you're talking to people and sharing your company and sharing your product, you can't worry. When you're following up with people, you followed up with 10 people, I saw a post here before the end of the year. You're making this your best year ever.
Right.
So when you're following up with people, you can't be in worry unless you're just going to be a shitty follow-upper. And that's not your desire.
Right, yeah.
So see, when your brain is activated, that's why reading, that's why listening, that's why journaling. When you start to activate the kinesiology of your body, exercise, right? There's people, I haven't got there yet. And it's not that I've been waiting 53 years to get there, but there's people who say, oh my God, I feel like crap if I don't exercise. I'm like, really? You should give that up then.
Yeah, I did that yesterday. I haven't been for a while, and I went back yesterday, and I felt wonderful.
Look at that. So all of the science, so here's the thing. If our brain is a concept of electricity and all these neural synapses and dendrites and endings and chemical transfer between these minute areas in our brain, and we exercise shows that a lot of dopamine, happiness juice
Right.
goes through our body. Why would we not do that every day?
We find excuses.
We find us wanting to stay within that range.
Right.
Addiction to approval. And this is one of the reasons that I'm on this mission, this path to awaken everybody to understand this addiction that we're in that is more insidious than most any drug out there because it happens to us 24 hours a day. Right?
Uh-huh.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that, Karen. And listen, I'm speaking to your subconscious.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you for doing all of the changes you have.
Yeah, I contacted the person this morning before I even got out of bed, so it's just like, yeah, okay.
Look at you prospecting monster of love and joy.
Okay, thanks.
Isn't that cool to see a spirit awaken, to hear that joy? I mean, that we get to participate in this. We get to do this every day in this MLM world, me loving more. I thank God every day for that. And then I thank me for doing it, right? There's that old story when the priest walks by a house and the guy's got the whole garden done. And the guy goes, "Oh, look what God has done." He goes, "Yeah, you should have seen it when God had it on his own," right? Nothing happens. We have to participate in this as well. So congratulations. What else is showing up, folks? Anything else?
Another way that we might think about this that might bring it down to a very simple level is the notion of trance. I've often thought that because of my training background and so on, that a lot of people are wondering what is hypnosis all about. And so if you think about this, you know, for example, Karen, what kind of a trance was she in when she contacted that person this morning? So what kind of a trance do you want to be in? We're walking around in our own stories, in our own trance, our own big trance in life. But we can choose the little trances that we want to be in. Like if I'm worried, I could say, like Alfred E. Newman said, "What me worry?" from Mad Magazine.
Right.
Or one of these days I'm going to look back on all this and laugh, so why wait? That's a trance. That sets up a trance.
That's one of my greatest conversations. Is this funny enough in 6 months? Then it's funny enough in the next 6 seconds. That's a great line, Bob.
So it's a matter of what you attend to. You have a choice of what you attend to.
Yep. I love that word, what we attend to. Yeah, because I can tell you the trance I was in this morning, it was zombie-like. It was almost insidious to watch it start to, kind of like these movies. I don't know. I think there was a recent Marvel movie where that just the blackness was starting to absorb everything and just consume. And that's what I was watching. I was watching myself get consumed by this. I stepped away and I stepped out of that trance, because that trance has a movie and has a pattern that it runs, and it's got to run till its end unless we step out and go, okay, and movie's over.
And maybe part of this is getting comfortable with trusting yourself to be in a trance. You're in a trance when you're driving in your car because, you know, you're not paying attention to what the feeling in your left big toe on the accelerator or the brake. Your brain's taking care of all of that. Your unconscious is taking care of all of the automatic things you need to safely drive. You don't want to be in too much of a trance, but again, you have the choice of deciding, you know, what kind of a trance you might be comfortable in for the situation that you're in.
Yep. Cool. Everybody take a big breath. Because this is a stressful topic. This is it can start off as I'm going to get better to all of a sudden going, there's no way I can get better. It can take over. There is a pattern. There is a movie that runs in all of our brains, as Bob says. And again, I'll go back to Lynn Grabhorn. If you're going to go down that shithole, go. Know you're going. And in the consciousness of know you're going to go down there and just have a bad day, then get it over with. Because if it doesn't get out, right, think of your closet. I'm going to think of a closet, and it's not my side of it. But you couldn't put the other side, you can't wedge anything else in there. Well, if you wanted to go out and get a new wardrobe, somebody told me this one time, if you want to go out and get a new wardrobe, make space for the wardrobe. And that's all we do when we prospect. We're beings that when we prospect somebody, when we have a conversation with somebody, we're there to be a space for them, to let them be heard, to let their conversation ring true, and then we can have a dialogue on it. But if we're not a space and they're constantly throwing ideas and they're bouncing off of us, I don't have money, I don't have time, I don't have this, I don't have that. We don't allow them to step into a space of thought, of awareness. It's no wonder sometimes we have challenges when we have conversations with people. Because we're trying to push our space into theirs and their wall is up. What'd you learn, what'd you like this morning? What came out to you? What'd you learn, what'd you like this morning? That's an easy one for almost everyone to answer.
Sean?
Yes.
So, you know, there are probably more than not, like you're saying, there's going to be times where we'll just come across this worry just out of nowhere for no good reason, but it just comes out. And we can jump into something else and shift our mind and whatever. And most of the time, I think that serves us well to do that. Now, there will be times when all of us will then go in to this worry, but some people may find it difficult as to when is this real and when is this not real. So I didn't know if you wanted to share any nuggets on one, if it doesn't go away quickly, I would say try to shift first. And if it doesn't go away, then there's probably something there that you do need to pay attention to and not just try to brush away because it's something, especially if it's something that's recurring. If there's anything you can kind of tell them on, aside from, you know, coaching yourself, which is invaluable, but I know that there's many other tools and things that are good as well to help people when they do get that worry, that they can kind of give themselves maybe some introspective questions so they can find out why is that worry there, you know, because some of them, they may think they're worried about one thing, but in reality, they're not, they're worried about something else. They may not even know what the true, you know, worry is. So sometimes, like if I'm worried about something, I'll be like, I think I'm worried about this thing, and I'll go, but what am I really worried about? And the more, you know, you ask, like say, ask something 5 times, and then you get down to this root core of, oh, wow, I'm not worried at all about what I really thought I was worried about. I'm really worried about, you know, this or that, because then you can address it and chop the worry off at the legs so that it doesn't creep back up at you. So I didn't know if you wanted to throw anything out there for somebody that might be sitting there going, yeah, but you don't understand. I got the shit storm going on, and there is some worry, and worry isn't going to fix something, but if there's a true core issue that someone needs to address, maybe there's some additional things that you could toss out that might be of benefit.
So since worry is something that runs from a pattern, it's a safety net that we use to keep us from something in the future, even though we're worrying about something in the future. So a couple of things. One, what Bob shared the other day, what resource would I need? What resource is available to me? When we start to ask logical questions, we can start to see things a little bit differently. The other thing is, what does this worry bring me? And decide, is this something I want to continue to move forward on or move away from? One of the 3 questions that I've asked when I go into prospecting or coaching session with somebody is, do I have permission to help, make you feel uncomfortable, and take you out of that uncomfortable feeling? That third question might be one to ask. Is it okay if I stop worrying? And listen. All too often we have this run-on monologue in our own brain, and we never listen to our own bodies or our own self. In this state, what does this worrying give me? What am I worrying about? worrying about being exposed, worrying about being revealed that I don't have money or I don't have time or I don't have this. If we listen, there's a lot of times we get our own answer, because in order to get out of worry, we had to listen to ourselves. Everything that happens in our life is from a decision made in our brain, consciously or subconsciously. Our conscious mind is a golf ball on top of the biggest sports arena you can think of, which is the subconscious. So yeah, when we get into there, I love the, ask it 5 times, and what would it be if I did that? And why would I want to do that? And what would be the result of that? And then all of a sudden, John Milton Fogg said one time, everything can be put under the word love, right? We do everything we do for love, lack of or more of. That's it. Of ourselves, of other people. Bob, any other ideas you have that through your trainings that you would share?
Yeah, I'll kind of go back to the little strategy I mentioned a couple of days ago. If I'm feeling worry or any kind of emotion that I don't prefer to feel, I ask myself, what would the preferred feeling be? If I don't want to feel worried, what would I like to feel at this moment? And then I ask, okay, if I for example, I might tell myself, well, I might want to feel inspired, or I might want to feel safe. So then I ask myself, okay, what would have to be happening for me to feel inspired, or feel safe, or feel content? What would be going on in my experience? What would have to be happening for me to have that preferred feeling? And immediately what will come up will be your unconscious will come up with some creative idea, okay? So you try that on. You step into the imagination of using that new idea and see if you get to that preferred feeling. Well, okay, I almost feel a little more comfortable, but I'm not inspired. Well, okay, what else would I have to add into that experience? What else has to happen? Either something I'm doing, the situation I'm in. What has to be going on for me to feel really inspired? And then I'll get another idea. I add that into my future and I step into it and see if I still continue to feel inspired. And I keep going back and around and around and around through that little loop until I get to the feeling that I ultimately want to have instead of being worried.
Yeah, Robert, I think that's great. That what would have to be happening for me to feel this other way that I feel, I think would automatically kind of bring people into a decision making process or finding that way out. So answering just that one question, I may go, oh, well, if I'm, broke and I have no money, well, I guess I'd have to make some money. Well, what's one step I could take in that to make that a reality? Oh, I'd have to pick up the phone and I have to call someone and see if they want to buy something. And then you go, oh, and then as soon as you start doing that, you're out of your worry and you're into a decision. So I think the way you worded that one thing was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Because ultimately, the way you're going to decide that you're satisfied, or that you've come to a belief that you're comfortable with, or that the action that you want to take is what? The final arbiter is you're going to be feeling good about it in some fashion. You're going to have some kind of a positive emotion associated with it. Stop and think about how you know when you believe something. What's the last thing that happens in your experience just before you say, yeah, that's true for me? You have a feeling, I believe. So why not, if that's the final arbiter, why not go for the feeling and the genuine wholesome feeling that includes all your best intentions, your internal strategies and resources that contribute to that final feeling.
And I hope everybody grasped what Bob just said, because this is paramount. A feeling precedes the thought. We can have a thought creates the feeling, but it's the feeling that changes the whole next direction.
Mhm.
So being aware of your feelings, your state of mind, because we can go, and this is why Post-it notes and the whole genre of the yellow Post-it note and stick these things everywhere. I'm a millionaire, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a this. Didn't work for the people it would never have worked for, because they were never in the feeling, they never owned the feeling. So I would encourage you, be aware of the feelings that you're having as you're having these conversations, because feelings come from the pharmacy in your brain, whether that be the dopamine or the adrenaline or the norepinephrine, all of the chemical names that they are. This is what causes our addiction. And our addiction to approval happens that if you have that feeling that what would have to change for me to be in a better state, and you come up with that, and then instantly your brain goes, yeah, that'll never happen. And you go back into that worry state because of the addiction. So be aware of that as you're having these conversations with yourself.
But if you recognize that you can get in that loop, you can go back and around and come back into the first prescription that you built for yourself and add something else in there until you get to the feeling that you want.
That's why they call doctors' medicine a practice. They keep, well, let's change your prescription, just like Bob said. What would you adjust your prescription to have a little bit more of or less of?
Yeah, that's a good metaphor for that.
Yep. Well, folks, there you go. Another hour power. I'm not going to use Dr. Oh, I can see it. Schubert, Robert Schubert's other message. But thank you for being here. I'd encourage you to go into Daily Awakening and write down, what'd you learn, what'd you like today? And give others some share in your wisdom of what you took away from it, because maybe that registered for others, but because we're in our state of worry, we didn't allow ourselves to bring that to the conscious mind. So put down some of your conscious thoughts of what you learned and what you like today. I love you all so very much. I appreciate you. And guess where I'll see you? At the next event. Thanks, everybody. Have an amazing day. You're special. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thanks.